The popular story of the Cambridge Five is that they were ideological traitors who sold British secrets for Soviet gold. But honestly, that is just too simple. The lesser-known fact is that the most damaging spy, Kim Philby, was not recruited by the Soviets. He actually walked into a Soviet trade mission in London and offered his services himself. Another overlooked fact, the Five were not five. The NKVD ran at least 9 Cambridge recruits. The Cambridge Five is really just a label from Western journalism, not Soviet files. The misconception is that they were discovered by brilliant counterintelligence work. In truth, 2 of them confessed voluntarily, and a third was never prosecuted. Anthony Blunt, the most senior of the 5, continued working as the surveyor of the Queen's pictures for 12 years after his confession. He was never publicly exposed until a book forced the issue. The recruitment began in the early 1930s, when Cambridge was full of bright, angry young men who had watched the Great Depression destroy their parents' lives. The NKVD's recruiter was Arnold Deutsch, an Austrian communist posing as a postgraduate student. He looked for students with 3 traits: intelligence, access, and ideological conviction. Philby was the prize. He came from an upper-class family. His father was an Arabist advisor to the British government, and he had no financial need to spy. He did it because he believed. Philby joined the Foreign Office in 1935. By 1940, he was head of Section 9 of MI6, the department responsible for anti-Soviet intelligence. He was, spying on himself. The Venona Project, a top-secret United States-British effort to decrypt Soviet diplomatic traffic, caught fragments of Philby's transmissions as early as 1943. The analysts honestly could not believe their own decryptions. Burgess and McLean were the sloppy ones. Burgess was a drunk who picked fights in pubs and, talked too much. McLean was a nervous wreck who once cried during a security interview. When the CIA told MI6 they were about to interrogate McLean, Philby had a problem. He was McLean's handler. If McLean talked, Philby was finished. So Philby tipped off Burgess. Burgess drove to McLean's house and convinced him to flee. They took a boat from Southampton to St. Malo and then traveled overland to Moscow. The escape of Burgess and McLean made headlines around the world. Philby was interrogated, but not charged. He resigned from MI6 with a generous pension. John Cairncross was the 5th named member. He passed the secrets of the Manhattan Project to Moscow while working at Bletchley Park. He was never prosecuted either. The difference between the British and American treatment of spies is, well, pretty stark. The Rosenbergs were executed. The Cambridge Five died in bed or fled to Moscow. Philby lived in the Soviet Union until 1988. Philby gave lectures at KGB training schools, appeared on Soviet television, and even published his memoirs. He died a hero of the Soviet Union, buried with full military honors. The Cambridge Five did not just steal documents. They shaped British policy by telling the Soviets which British agents were reliable and which were double agents. The doctrinal lesson of the Five is, well, honestly, pretty brutal. Background checks catch financial desperation, but they do not catch ideological conviction. A spy who believes he is right will never be bought off. Philby's damage is, in fact, incalculable. He knew every Soviet asset we had turned. The overlooked consequence here is that British intelligence, really overcorrected. For decades after Philby, MI6 was suspicious of anyone with independent political views. So they recruited safer, duller candidates. And, well, they missed talent. The uncomfortable question the Cambridge Five raises isn't about whether they were traitors. It's whether any system can, reliably screen for the person who has already decided that your system is the enemy. History that goes deeper doesn't ask you to forgive the Five. Instead, it asks you to understand that the most dangerous spy is not the one who needs money. It's the one who agrees with you about almost everything, except one thing. Subscribe to War Machiner, and hey, share this if you value history that goes deeper.